I am so excited today. I have one of my amazing clients, Melanie, in the house. And say hi, Melanie.
Hey, everybody.
I am so pumped about this because I feel where you were before, when we met, so many women are going to connect with you. And I love seeing you so freaking in love right now. It's like, we need to talk about your journey. So, Melanie, tell us about where you were on your journey when we first met.
I was still dealing with some grief. The last guy I had been dating passed away just about a year before. And I had tried to start dating in this, he had passed away in March, and I tried to start dating in November, December, and realized I wasn't ready. And then came across your page in March, I think,
Mhm.
and was like, okay, I need some help. Like somebody to help just focus my mind in the direction I'm going and help me find what I was looking for.
Yeah. And let me ask you about that because you said the person you were dating passed away. And I remember us talking about that when we met. And you were trying to date and you said, okay, wait, because I do feel like there are a lot of people out there who have lost the person they love and they're like, never again. So you're in the space of wanting to put your heart out there. And when you did, like, what was happening? What did you discover, like, when you're doing it on your own for the first time?
Chaos and guilt is a lot of what I was feeling. I felt guilty for moving on. I felt like a fish out of water. I was just flopping around, not understanding what was happening.
Yeah.
Everything was coming at me, and then I was like, everything repelled me, and I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah, I love that.
It was confusing.
It was confusing. No, and I love you saying that and speaking about that because I feel like other people be like, "Oh my God, that's how I feel now." Like, shit is chaotic, shit is crazy. I feel guilty, things like that. I love you sharing that. And so, like, it's so amazing how universe works and our paths crossed. And I felt
Yeah.
that when I met you. I was like, "Shut up." I already automatically loved you. I was like, "We're doing this." So, like, what did you feel like was the biggest takeaway for you, coming into the coaching program? Getting, like, first of all, have you ever had support on your journey when it came to your love life?
Not like this, no. Any support I had was like what we all have, our friends that are in the same chaotic situation and the same confusion.
It's true. And that happens so much when they're like, oh, yeah, my friends are telling me this and this and that. And like, they're also in the same chaotic, crazy
Oh
shit. So
yeah, it's like the blind leading the blind. I'm like, wait, no.
I love that.
Bumped into that wall. That's not a wall I want to meet again.
I love it. So then when you joined, and I loved how you connected with the other women too. Like, just speak about your experience and like your biggest takeaway during that time.
Connected with Brittany and Rocio, and I still talk to both of them. Occasionally, I'll text or message on Facebook, just to check in and say, hey, I really connected with the two of them in different ways on their story. It was just understanding that we're all feeling the same way and wanting that leader to just to say, hey, hold on, focus.
Yeah, I love that.
Big
And
deal for
actually,
me.
I'll drop the link to Brittany's podcast she did that was amazing too. And I loved it and loved her sharing her story, how she's all crazy in love. And so, like, when we were working together, I don't sugarcoat shit. And I love that, like, you were able to receive. Like, you're like, we went
Yes,
in and I loved how you're in it. Like, you're still in it. And the
100%.
feelings. Yeah. And I absolutely genuinely, like, I really wanted to take you to on the other side of it. Like, I felt it, I believed in it. So, like, just talk about that connection between me and you and like how that went. Anything from that.
Oh, I think that's what caught me when I first saw one of your clips, even before it started for me with you before we even actually got into group because it was the no holds bar. You say, I don't hold back shit. I don't filter anything. I'm like, yes, this is what I need. This just fiery. It's your fire and passion that really I connected with because that's how I am. You know, I do it in different ways, but that's how I am. I'm like, I'm just gonna say it because I'm tired of sneaking around the bush and whispering it, like there's
Yeah.
something to be ashamed of. It was calling me out on things I couldn't see
Yes.
or wasn't willing to admit that you're like, hold on, look at this. Because based on your list, Mel, even the one that even Johnny, the one that passed away, didn't line up on your list, didn't line up on the things you wanted.
I remember when that came out, like that aha moment, this is so much power in that. Cause sometimes I feel like when you're living your life and you're making decisions based off of your lens, you can't see certain things.
Yeah,
And this is where I love working with people like you, Melanie, because you're able to accept, like you wanted, like you embraced it. Like I would be like, wait a second, calling you out like that kind of tough love. It is tough love, but at the end of the day, like you knew my heart. Like I freaking love you. I'm like,
yeah.
let me help you through the valley of despair because it a lot of times it really feels like you're in this valley of despair, and I'm like, but I know what's waiting for you on the other side.
Absolutely. It was like you took my glasses off and cleaned that smudge off and then put them back on. And I was like, whoa, wait, are you serious? I'm already halfway out of this valley. What are you doing trying to drop back into it?
Yeah, I love that. I love it so much. I love the day, and I'll never forget too, of when I felt your energy fucking shift. Like I was like, Melanie, you're like, oh my gosh, you need to get on the apps. Wait, you need to
Yeah.
speak about this because some people really do hate the apps and people don't want to do it. And I keep seeing it all the time. My clients are finding love online. And that day with you, I was like insisting. So like, I want to tell them about that because I think it might really help them.
My daughter's wedding was coming up in a couple months. So I was like, I don't want to start talking to people right now and then just have to leave out of town. I'm going halfway across the country for a week, for my daughter's wedding. My focus was going to be there. I just didn't want to mess around with starting anything a couple months before that. And Jackie says, no, I'm gonna challenge you. I think you need to start now. And I felt that resistance inside and said, okay, Mel, this is the time to be brave. And everybody, we're looking at a screen, but it was like everybody's looking at me going, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? So there was a mixture of having that support, having that encouragement from you behind that, having that little push, but also feeling a little bit of a responsibility to the group and the other women around me as well to be like, okay, you need to be an example. You need to be brave. You need to show some of them how to do this because some of them might not if they don't see somebody else.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And I joined.
I love that. And I actually from my end, I can really feel I'm like an empath. I feel people's energy. That day when I saw you, I was like, no, Melanie, you got to get online. Like you got to put yourself out there because I truly believe the universe wants you to meet your person.
Oh,
Um Goosebumps.
it's giving me goosebumps like all up my arms even remembering that day.
I
Yeah.
know, and it was so powerful, and I feel like, people see Will and I, and they're like, "You're so lucky," and I'm like, "No, it wasn't luck." I truly feel that, the universe has had Will waiting for me, right? And I was just
Yeah.
not seeing the whole picture. I was just looking a certain way, doing life a certain way. And, the universe puts lights on our path and guides us, is trying to guide us. And it's really up to us to choose. Do we want to clean our lens? Do we want to get help? We don't have to do this alone. We don't have to repeat the same bullshit over and over. And so what I love, Melanie, about you, that you were like willing to be challenged. You were open to receiving. And I felt you that day, like after the work that we've been doing, the inner work. I was like, girl, you are ready to receive. You have that space. I just felt
Yeah.
when you do that cleansing kind of and that shift, it's like I felt it and I was like, this is when the universe delivers. So I was like,
Yes.
why would you wait another day to get online? And I remember that conversation. I was like, Melanie,
Yeah.
why would you wait?
Yes.
So so you got on which app? So it was Facebook dating, right?
Yes, it was Facebook dating. Yeah, I joined, started talking to a couple people, ended up meeting one. It was going well. He seemed to be in line with everything up to that point on my list. I don't think
Mm.
I had gotten through the whole list yet, but he was meeting everything at that point. And then he had someone in his family pass away from it was a traumatic situation, but he just disappeared.
Mm.
He was traveling out of town for work and then had this family loss and uh ghosted, just disappeared. Like I had reached out, we were talking and
Yeah.
was just gone. And I remember talking to you in one of the groups about it, and I was just like I didn't understand because everything was good.
Mm.
We were communicating well, and then all of a sudden just nothing.
And do you remember what I said? Or what did you feel? Because I feel like so often that happens when people get ghosted and you're like, well, what did I do wrong? What did I do? What could I have done? Do you like how what did you feel with all of that and what we talked about?
It was what could I have done? And then, well, shit. Okay. I guess that one's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's freaking bye-bye time. Like
Yeah,
even though even though you didn't intentionally say bye-bye to him, I think like, your person would never ghost you, you know?
no,
And then
no.
like I feel like people just need to lean into that and not take it this personal, like, your ego has been offended or some shit.
Yeah,
And so he wasn't emotionally probably available, he's going through his
no.
own shit.
Right. And he wasn't emotional. He didn't have the emotional capacity to lean on to me. Or and it maybe we just hadn't gotten far enough. I don't know. I had you in the back of my head or sitting on my shoulder so much at that point that I was like, okay. But I did. I had that moment of, well, what could I have done? But then, oh shit. Okay, bye.
I know, I love it. I love it when the ladies say that. Like, I hear you in my head. I'm like, yes.
Oh, Jackie, you're in my head even still. We were I'll get to that part of the story, but you're
Sounds like
still in my
fun.
head. Oh, it is. It is. It's great because I'm just like crazy stupid love. It's just so crazy. I
Oh my
love
God,
it.
I'm dying to hear. So then that guy goes bye-bye, and now
Yes.
you're available to receive because I'm really big on that, you guys. And just like a reminder for anyone, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe because I'm so passionate about this. So many times we are just like, oh, well, I'll just hang out with this person in the meantime. And it's like you really need to have the space to receive. Like even if Melanie, like you were sitting with a why did he ghost me? And oh my gosh. And like you're still with like your heart there. I don't think you would have received what came next. So, like, do you know what I mean? Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So talk
Absolutely.
to
And
us. Yeah.
that's what made it easier to hear you was okay, I don't have space for the nonsense. I don't have space for the bullshit. I want the real thing.
Yeah. And so when did the real thing come knocking on your door?
Um, about a week later.
I love it. Okay, so what happened on Facebook dating, right?
Yes, I was I was scrolling through, all the ones that like me because I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it gets overwhelming because there's like 50. Oh, you have 50 new likes. Okay, well, this one's not in my parameters, just not because yes, we still look at the physical. There has to be at least a not repellent.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I get it. Totally get that. But yeah. Uh-huh.
But I came across Matthew. He had liked my profile, and I was looking at him. I was like, no. But then I'm looking at it and looking at the pictures he chose, and his uh his bio didn't say much. So I was like, okay, you're not giving me much to work with. But every time I went to hit the X, I couldn't hit the X. So I'm looking at his pictures and then I look at his bio again, and all it said was singing makes me happy. And I went,
Oh, I love that. I got goosebumps. That's so sweet.
yeah, singing makes me happy. Four
And
little
you
words that just
and
I couldn't.
Okay, and you just so you guys know Melanie. Okay, Melanie was like, I love dancing in the rain, right? Was that one of the things that you love to do?
Yeah.
Which I always love being in the rain myself, and like I just feel like you and me always clicked with that kind of stuff in music, and you're an artist,
Yes.
so I love that you, even though it wasn't so much that he wrote something that really resonated with you and you connected with.
Yes. It connected to me. It connected with my soul is what it did. It really connected with my soul because I was like, well, painting makes me happy. So I get that because when you have that one thing that just drowns out the rest of the world, and this is the thing when I'm stressed, this makes me happy.
Mm,
And that's what I connected with. And because looking at his pictures, I'm like, well, he's not my typical type physically,
mm.
which is what we're here for. We're here to just buck the typical type that we've been going for because we want something different.
Exactly. That you see, this is an A+ student, you guys. I'm always like, fuck the type. I always say this, and it's like, so how has your type worked out so far? It
Right.
hasn't. So I love that you like embrace that and you were like, okay.
Yeah, that's another Jackie's on my shoulder moment. It's he responded to me. He saw that I liked it, so he sent me a message and was like, I didn't think you were gonna match with me. He goes, honestly, I didn't think you would like me back. I was like, why? Why would you even think that? Why
Well,
would you
I
say that?
love how honest and vulnerable he is being from the jump. Like
Yeah.
that's, it takes a lot of vulnerability, and emotional maturity to say that. I don't think a lot of people play games and they don't want to put their heart on their sleeve like that. And so I already love Matthew.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's gold.
Yeah. He's a God-fearing man. And that's been his guiding light. And that shows in almost everything. He was willing to be vulnerable. He's willing to be open and honest. And it was funny because when we first talked on the phone, he was prejudging me in some similar ways that I was prejudging him. Like, okay, he thought I was looking at my pictures, he thought I was a type, he thought I was a snob. He thought I was a little, this lady's out of my league. She's not going to pay attention to me. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to like him. But we're trying to give it a chance here. So we both just had a similar thought process behind
Yeah.
liking each other on there.
I love that. I love that you guys were able to like recognize, like, oh, whoops, like we almost missed each other. Thank
Yeah.
God you didn't. And so, like, how did that first date like look like? Did he ask you out right away? Did you guys form an emotional connection in the chat first or in real life? How did that look like?
Text message at first because we connected what I later found out was his birthday.
Oh my God, stop.
And it like we first connected on Facebook Match on his birthday, and I was leaving the next day for my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I gave him a heads up. I said, I'm not ghosting. I'm not disappearing. I promise I want to continue this conversation, but I'm flying halfway across the country. I'm going to be like 2 hours behind. I'm going to be around family and is my daughter's wedding. So my priority and my focus is going to be there. I mean, I'll chat with you while I can, when I can and have a moment, but, um, and he still thought I was ghosting. He still thought I wasn't interested in disappearing. I'm like, dude, I told you, stop. I'm like, come
Oh
on.
no.
And then
Oh
he was
no.
like, oh, okay, she really is out of town.
You know what? That's actually a good point that you bring up because sometimes if people have experienced being ghosted and you kind of bring those past experiences into your present, like thank God that you're being patient and understanding and you've been ghosted yourself. So you kind of had that empathy for him.
Right.
But sometimes we're in our own way with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if he was not trusting you, I feel like you could have been like, I don't have time for this. Like you need to trust me or not. But I think
Right.
because you've been ghosted, you've been there, you had that empathy for him and you're like giving him that reassurance.
Yeah, because we hadn't really had much of an opportunity to even establish the trust. It was
Right. It's
like,
so
oh, hold on,
fresh.
I need you to give me that opportunity to show you you can trust what I'm saying.
Yeah, because at that
But
point you had only been texting. You hadn't met, right? Or have you met?
Right. No, we hadn't even met. So I sent him some selfies I had took with my sisters and my sister-in-laws. We were just goofing around, sitting on the couch laughing. And the way he interacted with those pictures, I was like, oh, like he was actually paying attention to what I was sending him as well, because he would respond appropriately according to what I was sending and saying.
Right. You felt like he was being intentional and actually wanting something of substance or something, or is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, because he was like, "Wow, you guys look like you're really having fun." And he's like,
Yeah.
and I said, "Yeah, we don't get together very often." It was that translated in the pictures, and he was like, "Wow, okay, this is cool. I like these people. I don't know them, but I like this."
That's cute. On that note, I want to know, how has he met your family and friends yet?
He has talked to my mom on FaceTime. He has talked to my sister and one of my brothers on FaceTime, and he has met my boys. But most of my family's not here, so he hasn't
Exactly.
we haven't met a lot of each other's family in person yet, but
Yeah.
yes, he has participated when there's conversations going on.
Good. And how do you feel like he meshed with your family on the conversations? Like, because I'm really big on that. I feel like it is important how when how they talk and interact with your family, even if it's on FaceTime, that's important. And how do you feel about it?
I feel good. Like him and my brother, the first time they talked, he's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have so much fun with them." He's like,
Oh,
yes.
that's good.
Him and my brother are rival football fans, so it's going to be interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so then when you got back from your wedding, from the not your wedding, plot thickens. No, from your daughter's wedding, how did you guys finally go on a date and meet? And did you feel like, I feel like people need to hear that. Like, did you feel chemistry when you met? Because the emotional connection was already formed, or what?
Yeah, we met about a week after we first started talking, and it was a few days after I got back. And my see, Houston's massive. I live like on the west side of Houston, and he lives up like central north side. And my older son had an event near where he lives, so I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be up there if you want to, or if you're ready for a face to face, and we can just see each other and see how it goes."
Good for you. Look at you being freaking direct and intentional, hard on your sleeve. Oh my, that's awesome. Because by the way, a lot of times you guys are like, the women could be like, wait, I want him to lead. I want him to decide everything. And I'm not for that. I'm not for playing games. You're like, oh, I'm going to be up there anyway.
Oh
You know?
yeah, I'm all for him leading,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not for him being in charge all the time, 100%. Like I'm like,
Yes.
no, hold on, I have a voice here.
I agree 100%. I agree. So cool. So when you threw him that bone and you told him, so he was like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
He said, "Yeah, I can make that happen. I'll be heading home about that time anyway, so I can just we it doesn't have to be anything fancy. That's what we have to get in our heads. It doesn't have to be like a date. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be I'm dressed to the nines and ready to go looking my best. Man, I was looking probably like a hot mess that day. Like my hair was up in a messy clip bun. I was in a jeans and a t-shirt. It was pouring rain,
Yeah.
and I had my youngest son with me,
Yeah.
and we met at a McDonald's. Yeah, when he came in, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that. There was no like soundtrack
Well,
behind us.
well, wait, you're on a date with your youngest son. How old is your son?
12.
I think that sometimes so many people do put so much pressure on that first date having to be a certain thing. And I'm not for that. I actually am big on coffee dates as the first date. Like something you
Yeah,
could go in and get out, kind of like just like see if they are aligned so far with what you've been talking about and chatting about and things like that. Not have that pressure that it has to last forever. I think that
right.
you being there with your son is like super vulnerable. I feel like you're being authentic. I'm all about it. I'm all
Yeah,
about, being yourself, your authentic self. And someone's either going to say, hell yes, I'm aligned with this and I am yes for this, or fuck no. And so I love that you put your cards on the table and showed up with your 12-year-old son. I think that's awesome. So when you guys met, like what happened next? Oh my gosh. I'm like,
Yeah. We sat down and started talking. And it was I was having a rough day. I was having a rough day. I was emotional. That it was There was not really any hiding any of it. I managed to keep most of the tears and it out of my throat, but it was all over my face. And
Oh,
he kept it light, and he asked about what was going on a little bit, and my son was there, so I couldn't get into a lot of it, but he just sat there next to me, and there was like he would put his hand on my arm, and I was like, the first time he put his hand on my arm, I went, oh, I felt like I could take a breath. I felt
wow.
like it was calming, and I felt like I could take a breath and breathe and get that oxygen to my brain and actually think clearly. And I went, okay, that's new.
Wow. I love
Um,
that.
he tried to engage with my son, and he's 12, and my he's not he doesn't like people very much. So at first he's like, yeah, okay. But he noticed, I think it was a Marvel character or something on his shirt,
Mhm.
and started asking him questions, and all of a sudden this light bulb turns on in my son's face, and I'm like, what is happening right now? People don't know how to bring him out of his shell very well. And he looks at me and he goes, he's a lot like me. He goes, I get this
Oh.
kid. And I won't go and
I
wait.
love that. I love that because I'm so big on people helping you shine brighter. And your child, like your son is there and him being able to connect with him and he just kind of got out of his shell and connected, I think speaks
Yes.
volumes of Matthew's character. I
uh
love that.
yeah. Oh, this particular child has a difficult relationship with his father,
Mm,
and like they don't understand each other very well. So my older son and their dad, they get along, they talk, they sports, there's a similarity to their personalities that they understand each other. But my youngest is he's like, yeah, that's my dad, I like him, he's all right, whatever, but dad doesn't understand him.
oh,
So when I saw this man who's brand new, like first time we're meeting face to face, engages my son, and my son goes, oh, okay, you're kind of all right, and you're understanding how my brain is working.
yeah.
You're understanding the mechanisms and how the gears work together. It was I was like, okay, we're good to go on to the next
Oh,
page.
I love this. And I love this for single moms to hear this too. Because I do think that a lot of single moms have these limiting beliefs where, oh, I have kids and it's baggage, and they have, in quotation marks, if you don't see me on YouTube, you're listening on Spotify or Apple. But I'm like, it's not baggage. Like your freaking children are amazing little lights in this world. And that's a freaking bonus. And like for anyone that signs up with you. And I truly feel that. And I think that Matthew, like you bringing your son on the date, he is connecting with him. I love, like, this is like so warms my heart. I feel like single moms need to hear this and everyone needs to start bringing their child on the first day. Like,
Right.
why not? Like, why not? Let's do it. Like, we should like hashtag, like we should do like some kind of freaking clever hashtag for this. But I love that. And I love that one other thing I wanted to say too, that I love that you said was that you could breathe. I think that, I
Yes.
always say crazy love, right? And the Z stands for zenfully, right? I love where you can be completely real and authentically zenfully you. And like we're
Yes.
so used to toxic shit. We're so used to our freaking nervous system going freaking crazy and we're like anxious as hell. I love that you were at a place of feeling calm. You could breathe. You were at peace. That says so much too.
Yeah, because it wasn't that, ooh, I got butterflies in my stomach. It
Mhm.
wasn't that jittery, I got butterflies, nervous excitement. Ooh, I think I love this guy, or I'm connecting with this guy. It was because it was the same when my son lit up and started talking and interacting with him. It was like another breath, like another weight was off of me, and I could just, okay, I can breathe a little bit more. I can relax and lean into this. And that's when the shoulder bumps started a little bit, the touching his arm, and he would touch my arm, or the little flirty grin look when I look over at him, and he sends me this sly little I'm cute look.
So cute. I love it. I love it. And then,
Oh,
but I imagine you didn't kiss on the first date.
no.
Oh, look at you. I'm happy about that. I'm not big on rushing the first kiss, especially you're like, it sounds, how long did that first date go? How long was it?
About an hour.
Okay, so yeah, an hour is awesome for a first date. And I think like an hour doesn't give it enough time where you guys could kiss. And might be a little bit awkward kissing in front of your son. I don't know, right? Maybe I have no idea.
Right. At first too. Yeah, on the first meet, yeah, it would have been it didn't lean for the time for it. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I feel like definitely didn't have enough time to lead up to that first kiss anyway. And I love that you took your time on that. How long have you guys been together now?
We didn't mark the official of the officialness, so we go by his birthday. So we're coming up on a year.
A year already. Shut
At
up.
the end of May will be a year.
Look at you. I love
Yeah.
this. Because I do feel like you've done so much inner work. I feel like you've healed so much. I feel like where you met him, and even though you said you were having a bad day that day you met him, like I feel like people will have bad days always. Like no matter what, how much inner work you do, you have bad days. I
Oh,
feel like,
100%.
yeah, I feel like you not burying it and pretending to not have it. I feel like that, I feel like it sounds like you felt like you could be authentic with him. You don't have to put like this, total show, everything's perfect kind of thing, you
No,
know?
yeah, I'm not one for facades. I'm not one
Yeah.
for masks. You know, some masks are appropriate given certain situations and environments, but even still, I've accepted I'm not very good at putting a mask on. I'm not very
Good.
good at making it, so I'm not gonna try to like not I'm not gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna acknowledge it and be like, this is a shit day. And I really need to just go home and have a good cry
Yeah,
and figure out what I'm gonna do. But this is where I'm at. And
I love that.
my vulnerability really was, I think, it was an attractant for him
I love that.
because he's very much a protector, a caretaker. Okay, he's a man. How can I fix it? How can I help fix it? What do you need to
Yeah.
do? What is it we need to do for you to be able to fix this?
I love
And
that because if you were showing up like that, your true self, it would repel the wrong people. The
right,
people that don't have that capacity, the people that don't want to, there's people that can't show up for themselves, let alone anyone else. And so I feel like I'm all about putting your heart on your sleeve, being authentic right from the jump. And it
yes,
will repel the wrong people and attract the right people. And it sounds like that totally was the case. Like I'm loving your story. I feel like people need to hear this. I'm like, this is like a freaking movement. I keep saying this because I want people to be fearless when they're putting themselves out there. And like even the men that are listening, like listen to how Matthew showed up, and how he showed up on the date and he was showing up for you. And I bet you he was pretty authentic himself on that first
he was.
date.
He was.
I love that.
And yeah, and it's continued on. It's continued on throughout the whole relationship. That's been the theme is we're both doing something different this time. And we're
Mm,
both intentionally doing something different this time. We've both been married. We both have kids, that are not outside of this relationship. And we both said, okay, I don't, it's time to heal. And we did both have done a lot of the inner work before we met each other and then said, okay, I'm intentional going into this. I want something that I didn't have before.
mm,
And I'm intentionally not going to do the things I used to do that would create the problems for the other.
I love that. Look at you guys, emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent. When you said he's done inner work, let me ask you about that because guys, I feel a lot of women always say this, and I think it's bullshit. They're like, oh, men, nobody. There's so many men that don't do the inner work. They're not emotionally intelligent, and I'm a huge fan of men. I love men. I know, so I keep seeing it over. It's like
Me
crazy.
too. I second that.
I know. And I just feel like if you are complaining about men, you're the asshole choosing the wrong men. And there's women that kind of suck too. Like if they're not
Right.
emotionally intelligent and they're not doing the inner work. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's our responsibility to own our shit. Who are we choosing? And I feel like we can choose. You wanted an emotionally intelligent man, emotionally mature man. You chose Matthew, who seems to have done the inner work. But inner work can look differently. And that's my question to you specifically. Curious, because like Will is a big reader. He loves to read. That's his thing. He just reads. He's
Yeah.
always been like that. He's never been to therapy ever. And I don't think you have to have gone to therapy to have done inner work. So I'm just curious
No.
about Matthew.
He's a reader,
Yeah.
and he's got a core group of other men that will call him out on his bullshit.
I love it. Yes.
He is willing to say, okay, guys, what am I not seeing? What am I missing?
Yeah.
What is it? Where is it I need to do better? And they get together and they talk.
I love that. I love that support system and how intentional he is about who he chooses to spend his energy and time with,
Yeah.
I always say that when you start dating somebody, see who their friends are, see who they're hanging out with. And I'm just so happy for you, Melanie. And I appreciate you like sharing your story. Like, where are you guys now? Like, it's been almost a year. What's the plan? Are you guys like thinking marriage, or are you guys over the whole marriage thing? Are you just like, are you living together? What's going on?
Um, there's like five questions in there.
Tell me, spill the tea, Melanie.
If I had a job already, I think we would have been living together probably 6 months, 5 or 6 months ago.
Well, you start your
Um,
new job next week, right?
yes, and we had that conversation last week. I had gone through 3 interviews, and I'm like, Matt, they said they're gonna call Friday. He goes, yeah, but you're gonna be on the plane. I said, well, I'm gonna be on the plane early, so I don't think they're gonna call me right at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was having lunch with my brother and sister-in-law and my nieces, and I got the phone call, and I was like, I gotta take this.
That's
So when I
awesome.
got that, they offered me the job. I called him right away, and he goes, "You're smiling." And all I said was hello. He knows when I'm smiling, Jackie, on the phone.
So cute. So
Uh,
freaking cute. I love it.
I said, "Yep." He goes, "They called." I said, "Yep." He goes, "Well, you're smiling, so." I said, "Yep, I got the job." But
So
when
cute.
I got back Saturday night, but that Saturday or Sunday, he's like, well, we're at that bridge now. You have a job. And he goes, because the conversation has been, I can't carry this all by myself. I need
Mhm,
some help.
mhm.
Um, and you have a job, so we can look at his lease is almost up, and I'm on a month-to-month lease at this point, and he's like, we can start looking at for places to live.
I
We're
love this. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, I want everyone to hear this evidence of a man who is wanting to commit, like, further the relationship. You guys have been exclusive, obviously boyfriend, girlfriend, but I love how he's like fearless about commitment, like to that level of moving in together.
Yes.
Right? And I do think that there's
Yes.
a story that a lot of people say, and I see it all the freaking time in this community, in my DMs they're like, oh my gosh, no, there's no men that want to commit. I'm like, the guys
Oh,
that you're choosing don't want to freaking commit. But there are so many amazing men that are being intentional and that want to commit and not playing games. I love
it's
this.
it's willing. What every time I hear that, I feel like you need to be in the mindset of a needle in a haystack. You need to have a patience mindset. it might have, you might get lucky and find it right off the jump. I found it 2 picks in.
Mhm.
But it might take some fiddling through the haystack before you find the needle. It's
Yeah.
patience. They're there. And you have to be okay with,
Yeah.
you really genuinely hear when Jackie says it. You have to be okay with just saying bye bye and moving on. You have to say
Yeah.
bye. Okay. However you say that is bye. You
Yeah.
know,
And
it's okay. It really is okay, because that's
yeah.
it's not Cinderella walked into the ball and I saw him and it was love at first sight. I dropped my shoe and he chased me. It was, I'm looking for him. You
Yeah.
have to be intentional. You just have to be okay with weeding through the crowd.
Yeah, I definitely feel like sifting through is important, but I do want to say, and I say this because sometimes when you feel like it's just like one needle on the haystack, it feels like when you find a guy that's has some of the qualities, you're like, oh, that's enough. Let me just like sweep other stuff under the rug. And I don't want people to do that ever. I feel
Mm-mm.
like when you're so certain, when you have that faith, like unwavering faith, that you
Yes.
are meant to meet someone that will not take away from your life, but will add value to your life and you add to theirs. They're like a
So much
teammate.
value.
Yeah, they
Yes.
add so much value and they're your teammate. When you have that unwavering faith, it's like when they're not aligned to what you really want, it's bye-bye. That's it. Like just
Yeah.
like having that. And I feel like that's where you really, and it's easier said than done. And I say it always on my channel, joking, it's bye-bye time. And I'm like, but I do kind of want you to not be so fucking attached to like making it work. Like it shouldn't feel that way. Like,
There's been no forcing.
yeah,
There's been no forcing this to make this work.
yeah,
Uh,
that's important to
we
know.
to answer one of the other questions, we've been talking about marriage. Let's see, we started dating at the end of May. We've probably been talking about marriage since the end of July,
Look at that.
honestly. And just what that looks like for each of us. And he was reading through an old journal, and just to show me the his mindset over the last 5 years.
Oh my God, I stop. I love that he journals.
He's like, I had this vision of, this 5 year plan, and everything in my 5 year plan is either been completed or is in the process of being completed. Things are lined up for it and working with that already. And at one point he looked at me, he's like, I don't want a wedding. I said, okay. I mean, I'm good with that. I don't need to spend. To me, it's just asinine to spend that kind of money on this big shindig when we're not in a spot that we have
Right.
something to do for that. And I was just like, okay. He's like, seriously? I said, yeah. Like, why? And
That's
he goes, so you would just like run off to the courthouse and like just go get married? And I said, yeah, let's go. And he's
shut
like,
up. You guys are so I love that you guys are so aligned. I love that.
and I said, I don't need all that. I mean, I would love to have a party, like I love the party afterwards,
Yes.
get our families together to
Agree.
celebrate and meet each other. I'm all for that. But the actual wedding, no, nobody else has anything to do with the actual marriage itself. So why do they have to be there to
Yeah.
see the marriage? Like,
Okay,
okay, we're
so can I go to the party though?
100%, 100%, absolutely. I'm
I
like, I got to plan a little bit because I got some people that got to fly in.
I you know that I'm flying in for this. Like, I'm not missing this. Let's just like
Yes.
throw that out there.
I'm like, I'm totally the person at the airport squealing, Jackie.
I am so happy for you. I can't stand it. I love seeing you glow. I love seeing you just shining your beautiful light. I am excited to meet Matthew. I know all of it's happening for you and
Yeah,
you deserve it. You deserve crazy love and
yeah.
like keep leaning into it. This is all just amazing. Like, and it's so inspiring for everyone to hear. Like, I so appreciate you sharing it. Thank you, Melanie, so much. I so appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Jackie. Thank you. It's the feeling's mutual. I really appreciate everything. I
Mm.
wouldn't be at this stage. I wouldn't be at this stage if I hadn't met you. Not yet, at least.
That gives me freaking goosebumps, and that means a lot to me. So thank you, Melanie.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Love you.